Free coffee. That was quite the track from the table here. I think he did that on purpose. I think I could have gotten here in one straight shoe. He said there's 40,000 people here. Get out of here. All right. Tell them that that's my personality. No, I just thought I would start with Q&As because that's always gets the ball rolling, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's still hung from last time. We had a cast dinner that JMS was lovely enough to arrange. Jerry wasn't there, because I don't think he's here yet, Jerry Boyd. But a bunch of us were there, and that was fun. Then we hung out in the bar. And somebody took a lot of pictures. I have proof that the ginger-haired people were noodling. Pat and Bill are now officially going to kill him. Bill's wife is now officially. Maybe I should shut up. Okay. No. No questions? Okay, thank you very much. You with the glove, the one glove. It's important in 100-degree heat to wear gloves, I understand. Stand up, sweetheart. I can't hear what you're saying. But your mouth is moving nicely.
I wanted to ask you what it means to you to have represented one of the few queer women characters on television, because, like, in my opinion, that's extremely important. Like the Susan Talia relationship.
Can somebody translate? Yeah. Think about Talia and then playing this.
How would it feel to have represented one of the few positive queer characters on television?
Oh. You know, it's one of the most touching things I've ever experienced. I actually made a friend recently. A young man came to a book signing. Well, everybody's younger than me. I'm not. Man with gray hair is laughing. I'm taking you so down.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for pointing out that I'm old. Coffee day. So anyway, he came up to me in this book signing I was doing in Studio City, and he said, of course, I watched you when I was a kid, and you really helped me come out of the closet. So that really touched me, and we ended up becoming friends, and he and his husband, and he come over to dinner, and we hang out. And it just, that happens to me a lot, and then it makes me feel really good that especially somebody at that age when they were watching could identify with a character that was, it's interesting, people always say, was Ivanova bisexual, homosexual, asexual? She certainly had a very, very difficult time with love. And letting anybody in was a huge wall, which, was easy for me to portray. Boy, did I have a big wall up. And that wall lasted for many years. But I think the more people I meet, the more people that talk to me about that, it's just wonderful. But Babylon 5 reached so many people in so many different ways. There was another young lady that told me in England that she watched it in the hospital bed with her mother because her mother was dying. Because that was the thing that they bonded over the most tonight. Oh, wow, I mean, I get teary just thinking about it, but it's an extraordinarily far-reaching show, and that was just one of the many qualities of that character that I was very happy to portray. In addition to that, also having young girls come up to me and say, "Now I need you to be the captain." Yeah, definitely. I don't know why I'm favoring this side of the room. You guys are good with the bunch of them. What am I doing? Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say you had some epic lines. Everything you said either made me go, "Oh my gosh," or made me laugh.
I'll second that.
Did you have fun?
I had a blast, and the thing was, there's so many funny stories about how the characters got the pull out of the after the first season. I literally said to Joe at one point, I said, "Please, you see me offset. I'm a funny person. I'm trying to crack up." Jerry and I are constantly, cracking up. Bruce and I were constantly teasing each other. I said, why do I have to be so uptight all the time? And that's when you get something like boom shakalaka. That's not what I had in mind. That's not the kind of humor I had in mind at all. And it was not what I had choreographed on dance. I mean, thanks for asking. That's what I got for asking. In addition, then my other little quickie story was, when I said, I had this vision of Ivanova getting together with Chakar. It was strictly because of that damn codpiece. I admit it, okay? I'm a serious, horrible person. But I thought that would be really cool, so I thought I would be rather clever when I said, I don't like all what is this boyfriend? They brought in this ex-boyfriend for Ivanova and one thing at the dinner, and he turned out to be a dork, And I said, I don't like this. It cheapens her. She didn't screw her way through the galaxy. She was, she's the youngest lieutenant, very British. I've been spending far too much time in London. The lieutenant commander, and I was like, so I think that she would be with an alien or a woman.
An alien
I just
woman.
threw the woman in there knowing that he'd be dead. And I'm thinking, next script, I'm going to get your car. Oh, I'm a lesbian. That makes me a late telepath, bisexual, Jewish. What else? Russian. Yeah, multi-hyphen. So that was rather fun. No, I loved the whole Talia thing, and I loved the Marcus thing. That's another horrible story which I shouldn't tell.
First things first, tell that story.
You've all heard this, because I've told it. But it still makes me laugh. No, it's horrible. And Jason's at this convention. So Jason Carter was driving everybody up the wall, okay, which any overbred 5-year-old would do. It was the O.J. Simpson trial, and everybody was really hot, everybody was the conversations were heated, the America bashing was really coming out strong from him. And so, Bruce was always like, so go home. Ticket. Bruce was like, here, kid, how much is the ticket on Virgin Airlines? It was getting bad, so I said to Joe, Joe, we got to play a practical joke. I said, okay, I'm going to come in your office, and I'm going to make sure Jason sees me coming out of your office, and I'm going to have a script, and I'm going to play a practical joke. Just play along with it. He's like, because he never says it. So I do it, I time it, I've got the yellow pages, like secrets, the whole thing. I come out, and I looked at Jason, and I went, I'm sorry, buddy, but it was really great working with you. And he freaked out. He's going, oh, what do you? I said, it's a very noble death. I said, the characters come and go on this series, don't worry about it. You'll get to the job. And I walk away, and now he's panicking, everybody's playing along with the game. Everybody's playing along with the game. Everybody's like, oh, no, sorry, buddy. Hey, nice working with you. Poor Jason is like running in, kissing the producer's ass, washing the dishes after lunch, trying to show what a team player he is and everything. And of course, eventually he found out that I was absolutely full of beans. And 4 episodes later. I planted a seed. I'm serious. It was like 4 episodes later. I thought, oh my God, did I give him an idea? I mean, it wasn't like that time that we had the one guy who was such a jerk on the set that we sucked him out of the airlock. That actor was a real ding. The next day, so it was like, bye! That's what we do with prima donnas on Babylon. Yeah, but anyway, but that was quickening, cruel, horrible. Yes.
Thank you for that. The question was...
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Yeah. By the way, you're my favorite character, so it's really an honor.
I'm my favorite.
So what was the most memorable quote for Rolando? What memorable scene that you got that for Rolando?
The most memorable scene was, well, personally humorous-wise, I will never forget my father's death scene. The actor was going on and and we had to cut it down, so the version that you saw was like 5-minute Hamlet, but imagine the whole Hamlet. Okay, so the guy playing the actor, God bless him, really, wonderful. He's on the TV screen, and they've got the camera behind my back, and he's doing his thing, and I'm laughing. And the sound guy is up there with the boom mic, and he's laughing because I'm laughing, and the guy's done. I can't stop laughing because he's just going, ooh! I'm like, oh my God, let me get my violin out. No! This has got to stop, so I'm shaking. And I can hear somebody in the background go, she's so good she cries when the camera's on her back. That's me, folks. Off-camera crier. They literally thought I was going, I'm sorry. So when you see that scene, it's now going to be nothing to do. The same thing happened when I was saying goodbye to Kosh, in that beautiful dramatic scene, and I'm looking out of C&C, and somebody put the Enterprise on a fishing pole. See, what you guys saw was all the pretty stars in CGI. I saw a bunch of guys sitting there eating donuts in a fishing pole at the end of the Thanks. Thanks for my emotional scene. Yeah, thanks. Anytime I have a crime scene, somebody would either drop a rubber snake or an Enterprise, or Bruce would walk in and start cracking me up, but I'm good with tears. I have a secret acting trick in case any of you have to cry. Drink a hell of a lot of drip coffee. I'm serious, and you will cry. So you get to the point where you're so caffeined up that you get that jittery thing, and all of your emotions are right here. Except you can say anything, and you just burst into tears. I should start an acting school.
Sponsored by Folgers.
Speaking of time, right?
It's your turn.
I was just wondering, you mentioned earlier that Ivanova was, she's genderqueer possibly, she's Jewish, Russian, she's minorities we don't even have, she's late-term telepath. But at the same time, she didn't get flanderized for any of it. She was still a whole...
She wasn't what?
She didn't become just a pastiche of any of those minorities as characters in sci-fi are so long to do. I'd like to think, by the way, I'm one of my favorite characters, absolutely. And I'd like to think that that's in part because we were acting with it. But I'm wondering if you have any advice for those of us writing characters like that, how to steer characters away from
I think the whole reason why those characters, the way Joe wrote them, and I always use this word, fallibility. They all had faults, and we're so used to seeing prior to that on science fiction television shows especially, I'm going to save the day again. I'm not. Those were pretty much the same characters, but you look at every single character in Babylon 5, and we were all a hot mess. And in real life, imagine that you're in a situation like that. It's like I always feel for sailors and submarines and stuff. It's like you're in this box of emotions, and there's no place to go. I mean, it's a big station, but still, you're all these personalities, and because you're in an enclosed environment, basically, in the middle of nowhere, the worst of you comes out, and the best of you comes out, because there's extremes, And I think that when writing good characters is when you not only care about them, but it's a love-hate thing. Who would have thought of the huge transitions that Londo and Jakar went through.
Yeah.
I mean, extraordinary, just extraordinary growth, stunted at times. You know, I mean, all of these. Have you seen the Broke about? I posted that. Yes, I shouldn't do this. Oh, yes, I do. No, I mean, it's you know, all that. When we love you.
Hey, Dad, I was drawn that way.
I'm sorry, I used the wrong voice for that. Not bad, I'm just drawn that way.
There we go.
Yeah, you know, I just think that if you can identify with somebody and if they're written in a very human, real way with all of the messiness that goes along with it, it just makes it so much more interesting than everybody fitting into these perfect things. And like you said, not everybody is known for one thing. Not everybody is just known because they're Jewish or they're an addict or they're gay or they're whatever, you know what I mean? Everybody has a myriad of qualities to themselves and layers, and that's what you have to do is peel back those layers. And also, you know, that when you catch somebody is a really good liar, for instance, and, you know, when it's the same thing as like evil. It's very difficult for people to play a tapestry evil person, somebody with many layers, because they always sort of do the you know, just the typical. and it's I don't know if any of you saw that documentary, The Iceman. Here you've got this serial killer who's crying over his kids because he's going to miss them when he's in jail. Yet he doesn't give a rat's you know what about the 500 people he killed. You know, it's just those are the qualities that are always interesting in human nature. Not that I'm encouraging any of you to kill him. Thank you for clarifying that. I have so many hands up. I'm going to take the lady in yellow first because you're here.
I'm very thrilled that so many cast members are going to be here. And I just wanted to find out how it was that so many of you ended up here in Phoenix in May for the anniversary, and how has it been so far seeing the other actors?
Well, they invited us.
It's funny because we've all gone through, well, I know I've retired a few times from conventions until I write a book or something, and then I go, well, now I've got something new to talk about. But I was always of the mind that I didn't want to go talk about the same old thing unless I had something new. So when this came together and they said 20th anniversary, to me I did the math and I went, it wasn't 20 years ago for me. And then they went, no, it was the pilot. So I got that part. No, it was just, I think all of us were really excited to see each other, to tell you the truth, because we all get along. And we see each other, the ones of us who live in LA, we socialize together. Andrea Thompson is my real estate agent. Kat Tallman's my dear friend. Mira and her husband Goran come over all the time. Bill lives down the street. I mean, it's, you know, we're all buddies. So it was a chance to see Jerry, and Peter's been living in North Carolina, so it's a chance to see him. I haven't seen him in ages. He always jokes around to me, you know, Claude, I never see you. Claude, I never see you. My kid's like 40 now. You know? When I didn't see him for a year, I said, so is Ben driving now? Ben is 4. Next time I saw him, I said, so he's in college now? So Ben is actually 16 now, which is yeah, we just love each other, and so this was an opportunity to hang out. And the second part of your question was last night is any indication, we haven't changed one bit. I just haven't taken pills before I do it. That's the only difference. Yeah, no, we had a really good time. I think I was making out with somebody. I'm joking. Oh, that was you! I knew it! You were fantastic. Us old folks can get down. No, it's a blast. I mean, it's fun. I was on the plane with Mira and Robin and Walter and Bill, you know, so it's good. It's all good. Yeah, it's very rare when you have a cast like that. You know, I've worked on a lot of shows, and I've been in very good series, and it wasn't that kind of connection. 20 years later, it's like, it's just, yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. I mean, every day was such a joy to go to work. Every single day I was counting my blessings, thinking, I'm getting paid. I run around with PPG. This is great, you know? And with all these fantastic people that I adore. So it was a lot of fun. are tons of questions over here. Men in Black question.
Sure. One short, one little bit longer question. The short one is, how much of Ivanova's sense of humor is yours and how much was scripted? And the
Well,
longer
as you
one...
can see, I'm a little more vulgar than she is. Just a smidge. No, I think Joe observed all of us and put some of our qualities into the character. So that's why there was that big change between season 1 and 2, which we justified by saying Ivanova was new. She was a new kid, so she was kind of holding back in season 1. But you saw how much I, wuttered around on the set. And started putting in little things.
And the second question is, you as a person, you're amazingly talented, you're ferociously intelligent, you have a great sense of humor.
Single?
And well, we can talk about that later.
I'm sure we will. Wait a minute! Cheating already.
What I wanted to ask was, what advice could you give to people who are parents to raise children to have that kind of joy about learning?
You know what, I'll tell you, I just had this interesting you asked. I just had a conversation with my 14-year-old niece because she's hanging out with the older kids, and it's not good. And, I told her there's 2 things that you can never get back. Your virginity and your reputation. And that's something, the reputation, especially in high school and grade school and all that, kids are so unbelievably awful. I'm sorry. They're bullies. They can ruin. Kids are committing suicide. I mean, this is such an epidemic. And the most important thing is to tell your kid every day that they are beautiful inside and out. Beautiful inside and out. That you love them and hold them and just give them confidence. Confidence is the one thing that I had as a kid. And I only had it because I had a mother who just told me you could do anything. And it wasn't, I was a goofy looking kid. Everyone called me the 4th son. I had 3 older brothers. They're like, oh, you've got 4 boys. I had braces, headgear, and I weighed about 80 pounds, and I was 5'9" when I was 10. So, I was not exactly hot. And it was really, and I remember the science teacher told me, because nobody would dance with me at the dance because I was so tall. And it was, I think, 6th grade. And I lost some, but not in a good way, shot up at knees and elbows. And he said to me, he danced with me because he was like 6'3", he was my science teacher. I'll never forget his name, Mr. Trudeau. And he said, you know what, I know what you're thinking. You're embarrassed because you're dancing with your teacher. And I was like, no, it's okay. He said, someday you're going to be a swan. Trust me. The little short girls, not so much. Since he was tall. No, I thought about it. I just thought that was the nicest thing when I thought years later it was and it wasn't. Nowadays, of course, if the teacher can't even say that to a kid because it would be considered improper. Maybe it would be considered pervy. But for this little girl at 11 years old and awkward as hell, let me tell you something. That made me feel like, wow, maybe this isn't so bad. He said, I love being tall. He said, it's the best thing in the world. You see over everybody, He really made me feel good. I stopped slumping, started holding myself up higher. I think that, especially encouraging kids to do things that they love, and whether they're good at it or not. I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. And I admit that. And I wish that I would have had the discipline to stick to one language, for instance, but I speak 4 really badly. I wish I would have had the patience to stick to one instrument. I wish my parents would have pushed me into one instrument because I could play piano by ear, I could play violin by ear, but I never focused on one thing because I'm maybe slightly OCD or ADD or whatever you call it. I'm one of those multiple letters, I'm sure. But I was just constantly getting fascinated with, I'm going to play the oboe. Buy everything and save up my money and study like crazy and then go, yeah, I don't like it. How about fiddle? And I see my nieces and nephews, luckily they're all going into science, but they're all playing guitar unbelievably. And I think that that's great. Their parents encourage them. A lot of them had weight issues, and they never once said, you got to lose weight. They just said, let the kid do it on their own and supported them in healthy options and getting outside more and working out and stuff like that. But never made the kid feel bad about themselves. And I think that's already done so much in school by other students that the last thing they need when they get home is to get a bunch of crap from anybody, anything other than love and support. You know, but it's hard when kids are going through that 14 and 16-year-old door slamming monster. Where does this come from? I mean, for a kid to say to a parent, "I hate you," what? Or "You're ugly, mom," what? I never would see that. I had such respect for my parents, respect for elders. But I was raised in a very European household. People who are older than you, like grandpa gets the best seat. Everybody's very respectful of elders. In this country, we just throw in the box. Your old folks home. Hey, thanks for raising me. We'll have fun with the nurses. Yes, sir.
What's going on for you now, and what projects do you have coming up next?
I have a book coming out from Tor next year with my partner Morgan Grant Buchanan. This one is sci-fi military. It's called Wolf's Empire. It's a 17-year-old kick-ass Legionnaire lead named Alcoholism. She has her own Facebook page. Please feel free to come and friend her. We're going to New York next week to pitch that as a TV series, actually. But that's and they're re-releasing my book Babylon Confidential, this time with something called publicity. I had a wonderful meeting with the publisher of that book who said this is a very important book, it's saving lives, but we're not reaching enough people. I'm like, yeah, I only have 23,000 people on my Facebook page, and they all bought one. Okay? So you need to start working on publicity. So they actually are hiring a firm, they're going to do a new cover, and I've got stories from people that I've actually put on the Sinclair method. And people are writing their own little 600-word stories about how their life was saved through this treatment. And we're going to add that to the new version of the book. So that's going to be really cool. That's coming out next year as well.
Bravo.
Acting-wise, I think the only thing I've done recently was a little thing on Criminal Minds, and I did a film called Watercolor Postcards, which is coming out soon, I believe. IMDb is the best place to look for that. And of course, everyone's playing me on Skyrim because I have a billion voices. Yeah. Now, let me just do a little Skyrim story here because I want to explain something. I didn't know I was playing 50 different characters. Otherwise, I would have changed up the voice a little bit. Listen to me in Guild Wars. I'm playing 7 different characters, and you can't tell it's all me. I mean, of course, I have a very specific voice, but I use lower registers and higher registers and accents. I do a lot of British and this kind of thing. Well, in Skyrim, I didn't know. So people are like, how come your Legged Ruka, or whatever her name is, sounds just like the Huntress? And I'm like, I don't know. I just did the dialogue. I didn't know it was 50 different people. So that's my explanation, in case you're thinking I'm a lame voice actor. I am not a lame voice actor. I'll have you know also that the only reason why my nephews now respect me is because they've been trying to kill me for 4 months. 30 years as an actress, 30 years schlepping on stage, film and television, and finally, one thing impressed them. You're in Skyrim!
One thing I have to say is...
Can you stand up and yell?
Sure.
Naked? I know.
One thing I have to say is I think they should have chosen you instead of Raven for Highlander.
Sorry?
I think they should have chosen you instead of Raven for the Highlander sequel.
Oh, I think they should have chosen me too. I mean, I would cut a man's head off like nobody. It was my all-time favorite job besides Babylon 5, of course. But no, Highlander was my, oh God, that was so great. I loved it, and I was the oldest immortal ever. She posed for the Kama Sutra. That was so much fun. We shot in Paris. I got to chop that guy's head off. That was great. I got to stand up and do the Obi-Wan. I got chills, man. Firing. Oh my God, yeah, fun. I get carried away.
It's all right, great way.
Medieval flashbacks with funny accents.
2, are you going to be doing anything with Legend City with Bill?
Legend City with Bill?
Bruce, sorry.
Oh! Bruce has not invited me to play in his world of steampunk. No, I
I know that he's doing some series or something. I don't know if it's gotten picked up or anything, but I know he was trying to sell it. Yeah. No, he didn't invite me, but maybe if he was here. I were a lesser person. I could get it back for Australia. Because in Australia, he was going on and on and on about how I'm the only one who came for the fans. I'm like, dude, I wasn't even supposed to be advertised. I never had a contract. I wasn't even supposed to go to Melbourne. Mira lost her passport the day of the convention and then got a replacement one the next day, and they said, no, don't bother coming. That was the convention here, not Mira. So Bruce was dissing us all, and it showed up on YouTube, of course. So I sent him an email saying, you know, you shouldn't do that to your fellow cast members who you love so much. And he wrote this long apology. I'm so sorry. Heat of the moment. No, just kidding. Blah blah blah. And I was like, now I can get up here and be a real biatch. 20th anniversary, and you're not showing? Yeah, right. Facebook and Claudia is dissing Boxlinger. Yeah, I love Bruce, and I'm not going to diss him because I am so happy that he got a regular role in a series, and he's working with Andy McDowell, and he's in Vancouver, and that's the reason why he really can't make it back. So if it was LA, he could have. Oh, there's so many hands. Who do I pick? Oh, you're next. Pink. Pink. Ready is first.
Since you already mentioned and you've already demonstrated your wonderful range with impressions and voices, I was wondering if there was any particular female character captain of a different franchise that you might enjoy just imitating or doing an impression.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I need to suck up some more helium to play with. I have to get on my knees. Because she's shorter than me. E represents.
Oh, you're horrible, Lady in the Pink. With Jeff Conaway. You know, Jeff was such a lovely guy. He always knew stuff. He was so grateful. He was always grateful to be working, grateful to be working with wonderful people, and he was just really easy to get along with. I didn't work a lot with that character. Ivana and Zach were never really together. It was funny because, you know, I realized when we shot the last episode, I said to Mira, I said, you realize we've had like 3 minutes of screen time together in this entire 4 years? And it's true. Peter and I, what, Londo and Ivana, what, 1, 2 scenes? I was in C&C for 4 years. I remember during the Voice of the Resistance, I said right into Joe's office and I said, you know, Joe, I love this job, but I'm a glorified parking attendant. Because during the Voice of the Resistance, that's pretty much, I read from a teleprompter. And they said, no, don't memorize it. We want it to look like you're reading from a teleprompter. I can get my drink on every night. It wasn't a very good thing for an actress to say, don't bother learning your lines tomorrow, sweetie. You got a really easy day. Just a teleprompter. I don't like that. I like challenges. I like big monologues. I don't like boom shakalaka dances. Never again. Oh, I did tell you that this is back in the film days, and film is very expensive. And I said to them, you get exactly 1 take. 1 take. I'm never doing that dance again. I'm never doing it twice. So they had 2 cameras going just in case anything happened. Yes, sir.
If you were ever approached to do
You're going to have to speak up, sorry.
If you were ever approached to do a Babylon 5 remake or a movie, would you do it?
Of course I would, but I actually talked to JMS last night about this. You know, he doesn't own the rights to it. He owns the film rights, but not the TV rights. So they can't even replay it now.
on TV. That's why it's not playing on the Sci-Fi Channel or any of these syndicated shows like Anecdotes, because they have enough. I didn't see you there. They have plenty of episodes to show it, but they're just sort of holding it in limbo for some whatever political bullshit reason. Children in here, are there? She said, "You're a You can grow up." You in the Babylon 5 t-shirt.
Yeah, thank you. I did get to read Babylon Confidential, and I want to thank you so very much for being so open and vulnerable about your life.
Thank you.
And for the 5 people in the room who haven't read it yet, I wanted to ask what really motivated you to share so much of your life in that book, and what are you really hoping to accomplish besides selling hundreds of thousands of copies?
Now, honestly, when I discovered the Sinclair method myself and it saved my life, I contacted Dr. Roy Scappa, who wrote The Cure for Alcoholism, and I said to him, "What can I do for you? And what can I do for Dr. David Sinclair? What can I do?" And he said, "Write a book." And that's why I wrote the book. He said, "You can reach more people than we can reach because we're just a couple of scientists and a therapist that, you know." He said, "My book's not selling at all." He said, "You know, you have a fan base, maybe that'll help." And the whole impetus behind it for me was, first of all, if you're going to write a book like that, you can't lie. You got to be completely honest. Because anybody who's going to identify with me wants to see exactly what I went through. And it's not fair for me to sugarcoat it, because it's a really hideous thing to happen to anybody. But to tell you the truth, and honestly, and I told this to my mom the other night, because she said, "God, you know, it's just such a hard time. Don't you wish you had those years back?" And I said, "You know, Mom, I would go through it exactly the way I went through it, even though it was the most brutal, horrific experience of my life. I mean, I would never wish it on anybody, but I would absolutely go through it so that I could be here today and help other people." And so far, I've got over 100 people on the Sinclair method, just locally, actors, actresses, friends, with 100% long-term success rate. This thing works. My real goal is to get it. Right now, the EU just passed they approved Salincro, which is naltrexone, to be used in conjunction with drinking. So that means the FDA will suddenly come behind it, hopefully within the next 5 to 10 years. But the EU approved it, so you know it's been around for 40 years. But there's just a big battle in this country about a moral issue, and addiction is not a moral issue. Anybody who's been addicted to anything from cigarettes to heroin to alcohol to anything knows that it's not your choice. You don't wake up and go, "You know what, I'm going to become addicted to cigarettes." You know, it's a very tough thing to crack. And with this inexpensive treatment that's got an 80% long-term success rate, it's ridiculous. The amount of money, the personal cost of lives, 1.8 million people a year, 65,000 in the U.S., billions of dollars that it costs, not to mention the children of alcoholics that are being abused in hospitals, everything. All of this could be fixed for such a low cost and such an easy treatment. And my biggest thing now is just trying to convince people to look at the science of it. That's all. Just read the book, and then you'll understand that it does work. And you know, they're utilizing it all over the world right now. It's just America's a tough place to convince, because it's their way or the highway. You know, and a lot of people, it doesn't work for them. Rehab and AA just doesn't work for a lot of people. About 95% of people. So anyway, that's the reason why I wrote the book, and that's the reason why I was honest. And that's the reason why I set up the Babylon Confidential website, so people could contact me directly. I put people on to treatment. I help them. I counsel them. And that's really my reason to be now. It makes me the happiest. Yes, sir. I can't believe you're sitting in front of me, and I'm going to ask you to speak up. Are you? So you're sober on Monday? You were what? And now you've been sober for a year. Yeah. There's people who physically can never drink again. Absolutely. And there's people that shouldn't. And 45% of the people who start the Sinclair method actually go 100% sober. That's very normal. So it works for them. Thank you. Thank you very much. You too. Yes.
Two things. You talked about being together with Jakar, and
I dreamt about it too.
I could only imagine.
Million fanfics were written.
But considering the questions with your sexual orientation on the show, why not Nata? And what was your favorite episode?
I actually never really had any dealings with Nata in Babylon 5.
You could have.
That would be interesting. You know when you're friends with somebody, you can't really think of them in that way. And you just made me flash at Julie Cable Brown every time. I'm like, wow! No! Not my Julie. That's funny. This fellow right here.
Yes, some of your fondest memories of Richard and Andreas, please.
You know, Andreas, my fondest memory of Andreas was, he was always very, very quiet around me. I don't know, maybe he was quiet around everyone. Just sit outside in his outfit and smoke cigarettes. And, but I had a 30th birthday party, I think, during Babylon 5. And I invited him, and he gave me edible underwear. Andreas? That was so awkward. It was like, and he just didn't say anything. I was like, okay, I have no idea why you gave me licorice underwear, but that was awkward. Richard, I just thought, biggest heart of gold. I'm sure everybody says that, and anybody who's met him knows he was just such a gentleman, such a, not even, I'm legally deaf in one area, most people don't understand that. He was profoundly deaf. He was wearing hearing aids during his entire career. And he was teaching, all during Babylon 5 and before and after, teaching acting. He was an extraordinary man, but he never let that hinder him in any way, shape, or form. He knew his lines better than anybody else's, and everybody else's lines too. And I'm the one going, Bruce, can you speak up, please? And he's not even, he's reading lips and stuff that I never got around to trying to do. He was a very special man. And beautiful wife and kids. It was such a shame.
Yeah, we all still miss him.
What?
We all miss him still.
Yeah. I heard a horrible thing last night. Somebody said, yeah, the fans think that now it's the girls' time to die.
Oh.
And then I thought, well, they're 4 men, There was somebody with a question over here. What was I imagining an arm? I see a staff up.
I'm older than you, I need it.
Finally, somebody older than me. I said, yes, it's Methuselah. Yes,
I read somewhere that you actually encountered a young woman whose name was Susan Obama. What was that like?
It was sort of like the edible underwear moment. Okay. The weirdest one of that was I had a couple of people who changed their name legally to Susan Obama. One was Russian too. Which is ironic because I found out that Ivanova is not a Jewish name. It's like Smith. So that was interesting that I had a non-Jewish name as a Jew. But anyway, played by Claudia Christian. Did I tell you I'm popular in Tel Aviv? I was in the crypt. They were telling me that Jesus walked down the steps the whole bit. I'm sitting there, and the guy turns to me and goes, I love you! Ivanova! sure, I'll sign your arm. And he had some other signs, the Sharpie sign. So I just signed his arm, thinking, like, I've signed a lot of body parts in my life. People like it, whatever. He comes back the next day with a tattoo. And had I known that, I would have taken my time, maybe put a little smiley face over the eye, No, it was like a crap Sharpie quickie thing. And now it's on there forever. So when he came back, he actually had, like 7 cast members all the way down here. And I'm thinking, buddy, this show's going to be off the air. And you're going to be, it's going to be the year 2020. And you're going to be saying, no, it was a series. Yeah, no, most of these people aren't around. No, that's just Claudia. She's an actor. She was an actor. Did you show it in the UK? They only show it in Tel Aviv. Yeah. I used to joke that I'm huge in Bangladesh, but after I got back from Israel, I swear to God, I must have been recognized. I guess I was the first Jew in space. I guess that's Think about it. How many characters in a sci-fi show sat Shiva? Yes.
So, Ivana had some great lines. Is there any one of them that was your favorite, or any of them that stick with you today?
Well, the boom tomorrow, and the Ivana mantra.
Yeah.
My favorite, of course, is because because when you get a speech like that, who am I? I actually sort of last thing you're sorry. When you get a speech like that, you kind of go, ooh, this is usually what the boys get. I get one of those kick-ass boy speeches. That was pretty cool. I like that. That was a fun episode, too, even though I sort of died. Yes.
Is there anything about Ivana we don't know? Like anything that was planning on getting into the script that never actually got there?
Well, I really hated wearing a G-string for 4 years, I can tell you that. Those outfits were hideous. The first one, the wool ones, with the wool, the blue ones with the big leather thing, constantly. We're in Sun Valley, it's 118 degrees, there's no air conditioning, dying. And they because they didn't want visible panty lines, they had to make me the shirt that had a G-string thing attached to it, with a thong in between. It's not comfortable. And you wonder why she was uptight. Action for 4 years of my life. It was not fun. And the boys wore their briefs and had visible panty lines. Now all you're going to go through. Look at Bruce's butt. Okay. Yes.
Speaking of dream plot lines and things that might have been, I know the original intention for V5 was for you to become captain in season 5 and explore the whole telepath thing. And I was going to comment on that. And the other thing is the whole Ivana Marcus thing. I always imagine if you had been captain in season 5, the whole Night of the Dead thing that happened, you might have seen Marcus that night and what that would have been like.
Wow.
I thought, and I always did think, and I still think, that unrequited love is actually more interesting than getting it on. That's why I appreciated that we didn't kiss like some other sci-fi show. It had 2 women kissing. Coincidentally, right around the time Talia and Ivana were falling for each other. I just think it was much more elegant the way it was done. I thought waking up and I'm not there, the thing with Talia was more elegant, and I think the thing with Jason was, with Marcus, I think it was just, it just made you realize that how incapable Ivana was of feeling, of committing to somebody. And I think that made her far more interesting than somebody that would have popped and sack and fall in love and lived happily ever after, argue like an old married couple. I just don't, I don't see that. I think she's a lone wolf, and very much like I am. And I think that's what I identified very, very strongly with her, is that my whole life has been about my career. And I don't have a lot of friends, I don't have a lot of people around me. I had somebody stay with me for a week, a writer friend of mine, and he's like, you're a Hollywood actress and your phone never rings. If it does, it's your mom. And I was like, yeah, I know. I have a very small, close circle, and that's it. And I think that that's probably much like Ivana was. Not a lot of people can get into it. The other question was about becoming captain of the 5th season and all that stuff. Yeah, you know, it really, that whole thing, it really sucked. It sucked for Joe, it sucked for everybody. Because to cram season 4 and 5 into season 4, for a writer, must have been just horrible. And then to suddenly get the money at the last minute for a 5th season, it's like, what? We had already shot the last episode, we had the goodbye party, it was over. It was done. You know, and then it's like scrambling to find the people who didn't take other jobs, you know, and then also scrambling for a storyline. You know, I can't really talk because I've only seen season 1 and 2. Is that hilarious? And the only reason why I saw season 1 and 2 is because somebody, a fan said, will you please just blog about it, but watch it and write about it while you're watching it. What all the memories that you stir up. So I did that. So I would watch a couple episodes back to back, and I did that all the way through season 1 and 2, and I blogged about it on ClaudiaChristian.net. And life got in the way. It just got in the way, and I never finished. So I don't know what the 5th season was about.
If
you want to watch it, you get the pizza, buddy. I'll be there. Anybody else? I think I have a couple of minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Sidecore. Look at my eyes. Don't rub my eyes. Look into my eyes. Don't rub my eyes. You ever see that little bird? Go on. Oh, Tim showed. It was lovely. Tim was so good as Zathras. Those scenes, I had so much fun doing those scenes. Involved those scenes. I loved that whole machine thing, you know. But you know, there were so many fun things. Just all the funny characters that came on board. I didn't get a chance to work with Michael York, but I ended up doing Anthony and Cleopatra with him in California. And I did a movie with him. He played my father. What are you laughing about? Are you serious? I'm 70. Why? He's my parents' age. You think I'm that old? I'm 47. Is that really old? Middle age, isn't it? Assuming I live to be in my 90s. Keep drinking water. I have a painting in the attic. Yes, sir, in the back.
I was just curious, exactly how tall are you?
5'9".
Oh, okay. I was thinking
Yeah, I
more
didn't
like
turn
6'1".
No, she's 6 foot. Or 5'11". I'm 5'9". I never grew past that. Shot up really quickly and then stayed here. Yes, sir.
Star height.
Star height. That's an accusation. When maybe somebody offers you some money to move to England, you do too. No, it was Star height was a blast, and I'm still working with the producers of it. We're going to be doing an animated film when I go back to the UK this summer. Also, if you know anybody in London, August 3rd, I'll be at Forbidden Planet signing my books. They're really super nice guys, and that was a fun show to work on. I just, you know, I mean, it showed on TV. It just kind of stalled. No, it didn't show here. No, DVDs. They what?
Did anybody pick up rights to Star?
I don't think the American humor, the British humor is going to go. It's very broad. Look, I had a really good time playing Belinda Blowhard. I did. I actually took the part based on the name. I was going through a really, really hard time. If you read my book, you'll know what time that was. And Andrew and I said, you know, this is ridiculous. I'm in this house. I can't afford it, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And then I was just really in a dark place. And he said, do you want to do a sci-fi comedy? I'll make it union if you do it. And I was like, really? He goes, I'll tell you the character's name. Belinda Blowhard. Sign me up. He said, Jeremy Lloyd's it. I mean, Jeremy Bullock's in, and I said, oh, I'm so there. I love Jeremy Bullock. Oh my God, it's so funny. So that's why I did it, and I ended up moving to the UK. I sold my house, and I bought a flat in London, and it changed my life. And that was wonderful. I had a great time there, became friends with Nicola Bryant from Doctor Who, and Linda Thorson from the Avengers, and became really buddies with her. And I met some wonderful people. I had some wonderful years there, 7 years there, and I'm actually selling my flat this summer and moving permanently back to the US. So, but it was quite the ride, all because of Starlight. Oh, go to hell. Tony, I love you. You just have to pretend in front of the crowd. Just yeah, Joe's question. Oh, sorry.
I know that you did Grimm, and then you've done a bunch of other genre shows. Is there a specific one you wish they would call you for?
Do I have to say it? Hello. And a fan wrote, did you ever see this? A fan wrote in and said, you should put Claudia Christian in. And George Martin wrote back, oh, I love her work, but I don't do the casting. I was like, oh. I clipped it out. I clipped it